At this time, I'd like to invite Dr. Marek Błażejak to say a few words as well.
Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Marek Błażejak. I'm chair of the executive committee of the conference. I would like to give you some background information about this conference. So, it's a grassroots initiative organized by a handful of people. We are private persons, not specialists in event management, so it was a huge task for us, resembling climbing Mount Everest in winter. Not really easy, but I think we succeeded. We had a lot of guests here. Tomorrow we'll have much more, and this conference was possible only thanks to the donations from Poles, from private persons, from Polish Americans mainly, but also from some institutions. One of them was the Polish Slavic Federal Credit Union, the biggest financial institution in the United States. The Veco Travel, it is a travel agency, and in the Polish Chambers of Commerce and Industry in New Delhi. We have also great support from Polonia Institute and also from organizations like Polish-American Strategic Initiative. It is a new organization dealing with education and also some political lobbying in Washington, D.C. What are the conference goals? We have the 80th anniversary of the outbreak of the Second World War, and we want to pay tribute to our fathers, mothers, or grandfathers, grandmothers who suffered or who fought on various fronts of the war against Nazi Germany and Soviet Russia. Another goal of this conference is to create a platform for networking. We have here a lot of guests from different countries. We have prominent speakers from India, from Germany, from Poland, from Great Britain, from Spain, of course, from the United States. And this conference should serve as a kind of platform paving the way for establishing new scientific contacts, some collaboration also in the film industry. So we encourage you to talk to each other and to start various cooperations in the future. One of the important goals of the conference is also to expose some bias in the historical narrative about Polish experience during World War II. We feel that we are treated unfairly by the media, by the academia, and also by the politicians. Poland suffered horribly during the war. The country was attacked by Germany on September 1st, 1939, and 7 days later by the Soviet Russia. The first goal of Nazi Germany was to annihilate the Polish intelligentsia. In the first 2-3 years of the war, the casualties on the Polish side among ethnic Poles were in proportion for every 10 persons, 9 were Polish, ethnic Polish citizens, and 1 a Jewish citizen. It changed after the Wannsee conference in Berlin. The proportion was then 3-2, 2 Polish ethnic citizens and 3 ethnic Jewish citizens. The war cost the life of 6 million Polish citizens, amongst them 3 million Polish citizens of Jewish descent. We suffered huge material losses. A lot of people from the Polish elites lost their life, and after the Second World War, the country was occupied by Soviet Russia. Another 40 years of occupation followed. But today, the problem is that the history is distorted by the media, by academia, and also by politicians. You know the problem of the so-called Polish death camps in reference to the Nazi German camps established in occupied Poland, but also in many other countries, which are unjustly called frequently by the world media Polish camps. The problem is that this changes significantly the perception of the role which Poland played during the war. I was a member of a group which is called Polish Media Issues Group, and we carried out a survey in 2015 in Great Britain with over 2,000 respondents, and we found out that the young generations have no idea who set up Auschwitz and who administered the camp. 19% of the young generation answered that it is Poland. These Poles were responsible for establishing Auschwitz and managing the camp. So repeating again and again this historically false and offensive term, Polish camps, leads to some changes in the perception, how Poland and Poles are perceived. And this is the problem because Poles were the first victims of the Nazi and Soviet occupation. And there are more and more cases that Poles are perceived not as victims, but as perpetrators. I remember a case, my colleague visiting a college in California, asking a very simple question to the students, what do you think, who are Nazis? And the answer was, of most of the students, it is Poles. So it is absolutely unacceptable. Poles were victims of Nazi Germany and of Soviet Russia, were not Nazis. So for this reason, among others, we organized this conference to make it clear that Poland was the victim of World War II and not the perpetrator. I can show you some examples here from the media. On the left side, it is from CBS News during the celebration of the anniversary of liberation of the Auschwitz camp in the last year. CBS called Auschwitz a Polish death camp. On the right side, it was the Telegraph called also Auschwitz a Polish camp. Another example here is Fox News, also Polish camp, Jewish Voice, Polish Auschwitz-Birkenau death camp. There are at least 300, 350 such cases in the mainstream media every year, and it has a significant impact on the perception of Poles. Here's another example, just several days ago, in Daily Mail, the title of the article, Poland's notorious Stalag Luft 3 in World War II camp. Stalag was located in Germany, and Poles were prisoners of war in this camp. There was also a movie about this camp, Grand Escape, so it has nothing to do with Poland, in fact. Here's another example, also several days ago, Netflix, a company offering streaming services, film productions, started with a new documentary about John Demianuk, who was a guard at the Treblinka death camp, and a map showing contemporary Poland with Nazi German camps on the map, suggesting that these camps belonged to Poland. It's led to protests in the Polish media, also in the Polish government. Polish Prime Minister Morawiecki sent a letter to the management of Netflix and asked for a correction. So on the right side, we have the correct map. It is totally not understandable why such a company like Netflix is not able to use a correct map. We are using maps in our life when we are wandering, so without any map we cannot reach our goals. So it is kind of subtle manipulation of public opinion, but it impacts also the perception of Poland. Here are correct maps. I visited the Holocaust Memorial and Museum in Washington several days ago and made some photos of the maps, and you can see that the difference is substantial. So on the left side you have Nazi Germany, on the right side Soviet Russia. There was no Poland. Poland was occupied, so you cannot define the camps in terms of Polish camps. And last but not least, what is the goal of this conference? You know, perhaps an old proverb from the Middle East: a fool throws a stone into a well, and it requires 100 wise men to get it out again. Or in Polish, gdy jeden głupi wrzuci kamień do studni, to 10 mądrych go nie wydobędzie. One of the goals of this conference is to get out the stone from the well. Thank you very much.